Here we are. As you can see it, we have something crucial coming up. We have talked through that we have a regulation change going on for next season. I'm not sure for which department it is. We will see very soon. Our chassis upgrade failed, as it was to be expected. So, car development wise, we are a slit behind McLaren. Did we? It's close. Anyway, hola guys, welcome back to another episode of the Fernando Alonso Extended Career mod. Yeah, exciting thing. The first rule change I have ever in my career in a Formula 1 game. Now we're still ahead of McLaren. Yeah, of course, first time ahead of McLaren. I think first time, at least first time that we are the fourth best car on the grid now. Wow, we overtook McLaren, Haas and Racing Point with this upgrade. Incredible. And that gives us a huge advantage for the Russian GP who's on today. Toro Rosso with a huge upgrade that brings them closer to the 4 teams ahead of them. And that gets the midfield pack even more exciting, and now we see it. It's the engine side that gets a regulation change for the next season. The engine, where we put in the most R&D points, I feel. So it hits us the worst way, but what do you wanna do? I think we can repurchase them pretty fast, even though, so that's not too much of an issue. But as you can see, there are many other teams that invested just as much as we did, that will be hit just as much, like Red Bull and Ferrari. So more the top teams than any other team will be hit. And teams like McLaren or Racing Point have an advantage through that. And as you can see, we already have the results of the third practice session. The funny thing is, 4 Brits on the last 4 places, with Hamilton being far behind actually as well. And Fernando Alonso, as you can see, in 3rd place. I think that's the best place we've ever had in a practice session. So we can be proud of that. Important R&D points, as you have seen, we already have repurchased 3 of the engine components. So we are on a good way, maybe, yeah, probably with the 600 points that we get from the bonus. We probably will have already repurchased everything after Russian GP, so Alfa Romeo won't be hit too much by this, even though of course we had to spend much R&D points that we should have spent otherwise even better, but that's just how it is. Yeah, I think Alfa Romeo nevertheless is in a strong place for the next season, even though there are more and more signs that we won't be there with them next season. I mean, it doesn't seem like Ferrari has the need to fire one of their actual drivers, as Vettel and Leclerc do a stunning job throughout the course of the season. But I mean, our results speak for ourselves. Alonso is dominating. Raikkonen more and more, and Raikkonen just doesn't have any other brief anymore. He gets beaten every single time by Alonso. And Raikkonen, yeah, is just not a bad guy as well. I mean, he fought pretty solidly, I would say, against Vettel until last season in the Ferrari, and now is dominated by Alonso in the Alfa Romeo. I don't think that is just because he doesn't fit to the car as much as to the cars from former years. It's just because Alonso is a massively talented boy. If you can say he's a boy, I mean he's 21 in this universe. But he seems to be more talented than Sebastian Vettel and Charles Leclerc, so why shouldn't they take him for next season? He doesn't make any unnecessary error. He seems to be very matured for his very first F1 season. So I don't see any reason why Fernando Alonso shouldn't be in the Ferrari already next season. And if not in the Ferrari, then there will be other possibilities in the top car. I mean, Bottas disappoints in the Mercedes. Gasly isn't quite on it in the Red Bull. So there will be possibilities. Even the McLaren could be interesting, because they more and more develop to be the fourth best car, and getting closer to the three top teams. But I don't think I will go for McLaren. It's most likely Ferrari. Of course you voted for the Ferrari way to go, so it's just to stay on the way I promised to stay, to go for Ferrari. But I have to get a view on Mercedes and Red Bull as well, of course, as they seem to be more obvious to have a possibility there, with Bottas and Gasly struggling. But we will see. There are still, I think, 6 races until we have to make this decision. Much can change. Maybe even if in the pecking order. So we have to consider much until then. Yeah, of course I need to give everything until Abu Dhabi to still have the possibilities that I have with the position I'm now in. Will be interesting. But anyway, let's now focus on the action going on here in the Grand Prix of Sochi, of Russia, where we are at our last shot already in Q1. For the moment we are in P20. You saw the lap on the medium tire, we just didn't have the grip. There's a huge difference for some reason here on this track between soft and medium tires. Vettel had the same issues, he wouldn't have qualified on the medium and now set the best time overall on the soft tire to be sure that he is in Q2, to get not the same debacle that his teammate had in Singapore. Yeah, now it's our time to improve. Enough for Q2, but it does seem like that with 1 seconds improvement with one corner to go. We are not too far behind P19, so it should be Q2. Yeah, it is solidly. In P7 we are. That's just about where I expect both Alfa Romeos to be in, at the end of the qualifying session as well, because Alfa Romeo throughout the practice sessions already seemed to be in a lonely 4th position pace-wise. So we are on a good way in this point of view, but we will see. It's not said that we will bring it on track. Now we have only one chance, because I want to have 2 shots in the Q3, and I really expect myself being in Q3, so Q2 will be done with one soft tire. I mean, it doesn't matter anyway on which tire we qualify in Q2, because as you might have seen, the weather condition will be rainy on the start of the race. So we will not start on the tire we qualify now. But it will dry out throughout the race. It will be an interesting race. First heavy rain conditions, then intermediate conditions, and then dry conditions. Everything for about a quarter, and the dry conditions for 2/4 of the race. But our rain pace was really good throughout the course of the season, so it seems to be promising to be at least once again best of the rest. Here we go, throughout the last corner, a strong lap I feel, should be Q3. Once again it's P7. That's just about where we will qualify. I mean, we are not far away from the top 6, but it's just about not enough to get one of them done. And all the others are not quite competition for us, I feel. Raikkonen is about 3-4 tenths slower than us, and all the others, Perez maybe is a bit faster than Raikkonen, and as you can see here in Q3, we already had our first shot, and we actually, indeed, ahead of 2 of the top guys. Only 1,000 ahead of Hamilton and 6,000 ahead of Leclerc, but no one asks. For the delta time, the starting order is just a place, and so P5 is really there for now. I mean, there is clearly track improvement visible, so it's not said that we will be in P5 fix, so we have to improve. We probably will improve, but will it be enough to stay in front of Hamilton and Leclerc, or maybe even get someone over behind us? We'll see, but we seem to be at least in P7. I don't feel like Perez, Magnussen and Raikkonen will be faster than our first time. So that success is ours already. That's good. No, it doesn't seem to be an improvement up here. In this corner we gained 2 tenths. The 2 tenths that we lost in the first 2 corners. And so we are about on the same level as our first lap on this point of the lap. Maybe there will be an improvement. Now Charles Leclerc put us down on to P6. Hamilton is just a few seconds ahead of us on the road, so we will not see his time really early. So we will not know if we are 6 or 7. right until the point we crossed the finish line. So we have 2 corners to go, and there will be an improvement, it seems. 2/10 about. That's okay. Now Hamilton really improves enough. But can we improve in place? No, we cannot. Nice, P7. It just about wasn't enough to force any one of the other guys behind us. Really just about, as you can see. Only 200 behind Leclerc, 3 behind Hamilton. And a solid job against all the others. 4/10 ahead of Sergio Perez. With Raikkonen in P9, it's a good qualifying for the whole Alfa Romeo team. Bottas in pole position shows off that he deserves his Mercedes seat. I hope he can bring it on to the race as well, like he did in Monza, where he inherited the win actually from Hamilton. That was an amazing qualifying session for you. Do you think you can repeat this performance in the race? Yeah, I mean, the car feels great. Why shouldn't we pull out this performance in the race as well? Well, I just ignored the second question because I didn't have anything, so I don't know what she's talking about. Yeah. But we have, once again, good R&D points to spend on the repair of the engine development. And so here we go on to the race. It will be a tricky one. It will be a rainy one. And it will be one that could give us maybe even also our first podium. The pace really is there. We are keeping up with the top guys. So I'm looking forward to fighting them in the rain. Maybe the strategy will help us. We will see. It won't be easy. We will have to give our best throughout the whole time. As well as everyone else, of course, has to do as well. But yeah, the championship fight is on, of course, between the 2 legends. Here you can see the championship standings. Vettel and Hamilton closely matched. The 4-time and the 5-time world champion. Ferrari, yeah, with a solid margin against Mercedes in the constructors table. But that's not true until now. So on pole position, Valtteri Bottas ahead of Max Verstappen, then Sebastian Vettel and Lewis Hamilton. Then we already have Fernando Alonso and Kimi Räikkönen. Then Magnussen, Weber, Gasly, Sainz, Grosjean, Norris, Lance Stroll, Perez, Russell, Ricciardo, Butler, Leclerc, Hülkenberg and Alex Albon. So, with grid penalties applied, once again Charles Leclerc is far at the back of the grid. Pierre Gasly only in 9th place. That puts us together with our teammate, as Perez already as well has a grid penalty. That puts both Alfa Romeos in the 3rd row. 5th and 6th place. Yeah. Race strategy, of course, a long time full width, and then at some point we will change onto the intermediates and maybe even the dry tires. We will see how the race pans out. Here we go. Tough on traction in these rainy conditions. Belgium, we got it a bit better than here in Russia. That is where it is really important. As you can see, it's such a long way to the first braking zone. If we lose 2 positions on this way, and now we lose it a bit on traction, and yeah, you might have seen it. You can see it on the replay. Sainz and Weber are on both sides of us. It's getting a bit tight now. But Weber has to back down out of it, as he struggled with the balance of the car. And Sainz got the better of me as well. So we're now the worst one in the race. Only in 8th place for now. But we just don't have the pace, it seems, to keep up with the top 7. Of course, Sainz in the McLaren has the wet pace. McLaren fits to wet conditions pretty much. And Sainz is an incredible driver as well. But Raikkonen is ahead of us as well, and he gets away from us. So that's not good signs here in the first lap. Even though there is good signs, it's no good signs. You know what I mean. Now we have to fight against Romain Grosjean for 8th place. He's attacking us. He's the only one keeping up with us, actually. All the others are pretty slow. We had a collision, as you might have recognized over there, yellow flags. We had a collision in the first corner. It was a bit too tight for Gasly and Stroll. Both of them had a bit of front wing damage. And that meant both of them had to pit in after the first lap. So that's pretty much race ruined for both of them. And still there's not one safety car throughout the whole season. Even though there were some parts on the main straight. But anyway, we are now in lap 2 already pretty lonely together with Grosjean. Ahead of us, Sainz already about 4 seconds ahead of us. And behind Grosjean there is a 3-second gap as well to, I think, Weber in P10, who struggles with pace a bit. He seems to be about the slowest guy on the grid so far. But yeah, now we jump to lap 5, and it's already light rain enough to get us thinking of intermediates. We are the first one to pit in, but we have the recommendation from the pits, so it will be the right decision to go on to intermediates as well, as Romain Grosjean seems to do. Made the same call at the same time, and now everyone seems to pit in. Everyone in the chasing field on this in the same time in the pits. I'm surprised by that. Some teams have to double stack their drivers here, like McLaren. No, McLaren doesn't. Sainz is far ahead. Which team has to do? I think Haas. Yeah, Haas. Because Magnussen is not far behind Grosjean. Renault, for example, with Hülkenberg and Ricciardo. Williams with Russell and Weber. But anyway, we are now in lap 7. We post the fastest lap of the race for a really short time, as Romain Grosjean, directly behind us, improves this time by a few hundredths. But already behind us and Grosjean there is Charles Leclerc, way faster than us, decreasing the top lap time by more 1.7 seconds. And here we go, the fight for the lead this is. And there Vettel overtook Bottas, and Verstappen seems to get in there as well. And he indeed overtakes Valtteri Bottas as well for P2. Lewis Hamilton behind them is in a pretty lonely 4th place. Then we have Magnussen, Sainz, Raikkonen, and then there we are, still fighting for 8th position against Romain Grosjean. but now with Leclerc closing up a bit. Yeah, lap 11, still we're fighting Grosjean. Now we make a mistake, go a bit wide, and Grosjean takes this for good use and gets us done for now. Now we need to do everything that we can to keep up with him. Maybe re-overtake him as far as we can. As fast as we can. Yeah. But it doesn't seem that we have the pace that Grosjean has. But we have the EAS that we now can pull in for good use. Maybe there will be something possible. Seems like Sector 3 does fit us a bit more than Grosjean. We keep up with him really good.
Okay, battery's looking good. You can use overtake to get past.
We close in on him a bit through this sector. Maybe now on the main straight, out of the slipstream, we can do something. We'll see. We're only about 7/10 behind them. And we have the top end speed. As you can see, we're really closing in on him massively. We are side to side into first corner, around the outside, we take him. That's one hell of a move. One hell of a move. Now you can see it on the replay. We have the confidence to pull it around the outside and actually pull it through. With Grosjean making a little mistake, it seems. He's really defensive there. He could have pushed us onto the outside a bit more. He locked up a bit there, you can see. But that wasn't decisive, I feel. Anyway, we are through. Now in P8. And as you can see, it now is already time for dry tires. I thought the medium tire would be the right choice, but recommendation was the soft tire. Everyone else seems to choose the soft tire as well. So we needed to do that as well, of course. I mean, it's Russia, so there's no other place in Russia where it is possible to drive more than half of the race distance on the softest tire available. Yeah, pit stop wasn't that fast. 3.8 seconds, I think it was. A bit disappointing. That happens from time to time. Now Kimi Räikkönen posts the fastest lap, 1:37.3. And I feel like we get it even better, 1:37.1. And as you can see, we pulled away from Grosjean and now Leclerc is closing in on us as he has already overtaken Grosjean. He probably will be fighting us in the next laps for P8. But we have to stay calm to have a look on the tire. Be a bit conservative on our aggression. Here we are on to lap 17. Leclerc closes him, probably already enough to overtake us through the main straight. We go on high EAS mode, but I don't feel there's any use. Leclerc is just much faster on the straights, so we cannot do anything. Oh, and there we have a broken front wing. That wasn't necessary. We'll rewind that. So here we go, a bit cleaner done. The lockup from Leclerc was no issue for us. We are onto his slipstream, but there won't be a realistic chance that we re-overtake him. I don't feel there would be any use as he's just much faster than we are. And there are still more than 10 laps to go, so we wouldn't be able to hold him up throughout the whole race distance from now on. So it's better that way. Otherwise Grosjean would close in back, and that's not what I want to happen. But we have the S advantage now, so we can profit a bit from that. Gaining about 2 to 3 tenths
Let's keep them that way for as long as we can.
of a second. Yeah, now we jump onto lap 21. Actually lap 22 already.
Okay, gap ahead is
And as you can see,
3.1
many surprisingly pitted. You can see our tire use, tire wear. It is at about 43%, so we will, yeah, get through closely, but we will. So we are now in an interesting position, being in P5, and now we are already in lap 26 and still in P5, but on the fresher rubber, Carlos Sainz and all the others around Raikkonen, Magnussen and Leclerc could close in back on us. Now it's getting close against those guys to fight for P5 with pretty weak weapons. We are now already at about 62%, and Sainz with way more speed comes towards us and overtakes us pretty easy. For, at least for him, an incredible P5. McLaren will be celebrating him for a really good race. Might be driver of the day. Even though there's Lewis Hamilton, the only one with us to do the same thing, to not pit. And for him it's clearly paying off. He will be winning this race pretty solidly, while Vettel, Verstappen and Bottas are fighting for P2. But where do we come home? For now it's P6, but we are already side by side with Leclerc, but we can defend from him for now. Now we will not back down against him, because there's only one lap to go now. Even though Leclerc is even faster than when he overtook us the first time. And there is Raikkonen directly behind him as well, so that gets it even more spicy. There are not many corners to go, but we just don't seem to have the pace, and he already dives it at this corner. I didn't expect that from him. That actually could be an advantage for us, as now we have the DRS, but he has just way more traction. Raikkonen is side by side with us, but both of us have DRS. It will be an interesting braking zone. We have to be the later one, and we almost hit Leclerc. That was a close one. But we successfully defended from Raikkonen. Hamilton crossed the checkered flag to win the race. I guess already his 8th race that he wins at this season, as we have to replay. Wow, that was so close to Leclerc. We would have spun him out of the race if we would have hit him. But that way, both of us can be happy. Leclerc keeping his actually disappointing P6, and Alonso keeping his solid P7. If Raikkonen P8, that's okay as well. But once again, he's beaten by Alonso. But yeah, good points for the team. 6 points for Alonso, 4 points for Raikkonen. That's the interesting thing, because it's an amazingly close fight still for P4 in the Constructors table, where we can get the better out of everyone. At least it's heading at this direction. Today we once again gained the most points out of all teams. Yeah, actually equally with McLaren, but they are still last of this pack. And Mercedes got a bit yeah, bitten down of their advantage they have against Ferrari in the constructors table. They are closing in on them a bit and making it a bit more exciting. Actually on driver's side as well, with Hamilton winning ahead of Vettel, that means 7 points he's gaining on the German. So it's only 4 points I think now that Vettel is leading ahead of Hamilton, with no other one in contention anymore. Away from this race, it's a 2-horse race, with Verstappen and Leclerc fighting for 3rd position, and Bottas and Gasly fighting for 5th. Yeah, here you can see the full race results. Hamilton in front of Vettel, Verstappen, Bottas posting the fastest lap and pole position, but not a podium for him, so that's disappointing. Then we have Sainz, important race for him to get the better back against his teammate Lando Norris, who was struggling at this race. Only in P14 he finished. Leclerc in P6, ahead of the Alfa Romeos and the Haas. Alonso, Raikkonen, Magnussen and Grosjean. Then Pierre Gasly. After his start crash with Lance Stroll, he couldn't do anything to get back into the points. Only P11. Ricciardo with an okay P12 for the struggling Renaults. Pointless since Germany. Then with Devin Butler, Lando Norris, Alex Albon, Lucas Weber, Nico Hülkenberg. Then the 2 racing points, really disappointing, both of them. Perez and Stroll. And then we have George Russell. So that means Verstappen now overtakes Leclerc, Bottas overtakes Gasly, Alonso overtakes Ricciardo. He's now only 6 points behind Perez. So the fight is on for getting Formula 1.5 World Champion. Sainz overtook his teammate, importantly, crucially, and even overtook Romain Grosjean, who with his 1 point overtook Lando Norris as well. Yeah, the constructors table, Alfa Romeo made a big jump to overtake not only Racing Point but Haas as well, and are now 9 points behind Renault, 1 point ahead of Haas, 6 points ahead of Racing Point and 8 points ahead of McLaren. Incredibly close. 5 teams covered by 17 points, and that only 5 races, yeah, in front of the finale. How did their team react to the bad weather conditions? Yeah, it was, I mean, the sun wasn't shining, but the team did a great job. You can tell it was luck that your race wasn't ended by that crash. I don't know what crash you mean, but surely, yeah. I'm glad the car wasn't damaged by that, by whatever it was. Anyway, in the rivalry, we just officially fixed that we will win the rivalry next time out in Japan against Devin Butler. That's good for us. And we get huge R&D points with the team target bonus as well. We now have enough points to repurchase every engine upgrade we made throughout the season. So we are back where we started this weekend. That's good. Maybe we can even purchase one more upgrade, but before that we have contract renegotiations. Probably the last time out with Alfa Romeo. And they're expecting a bit more now that we have the 4th best car on the grid, or 5th in the constructors table, 8th in the drivers table. Of course, more is expected from us, but I want to keep the expectations as low as we can. About 13th in the qualifying and 10th in the race, I think, is ideal. Yeah, the bonuses will stay about the same as they were. That did work. It almost worked out. So 1 position at qualifying, I guess, will be enough. We'll see. I mean, it's really not much. Yeah, it indeed is just about enough. So that's a good contract for the rest of the season. Even though we are still second driver, but it should be kept realistic, and of course Kimi Räikkönen, the old star, will remain first driver at least for this season against the rookie Fernando Alonso. Anyway, now we save these 2 engine upgrades. So now that everything is saved, we can look at some new upgrades. And therefore we have to go onto the aero sector. And that will be it. Front downforce. Hopefully will be applied at the next time out in Japan. Be sure to check that one out. Until then, goodbye.